Summer is here for the Northern Hemisphere, and that means that everything's hotting up and everybody wants revenge. I mean, even the roads are fighting back against cars. But genuinely, I really do hope that person is okay because that looked terrifying. Princess Diana, on the very same night that Prince Charles admitted on TV in front of the nation that he cheated on her, went to a Vanity Fair gala wearing this dress by Christina Stambolian that had been sitting in her wardrobe for 3 years because while she wanted it made, she didn't feel like she could really wear it because it was too revealing, it was too risque, and royals, they're not meant to show much skin. She had planned to wear a Valentino dress, however, this got leaked to the public and so she was really angry at that. So she wore red nails in public for the very first time. She was out for revenge. She wasn't the reason that he cheated because who on earth could cheat on her? This was one of the most strategic dress choices in history. I mean, her wedding dress did spark a complete change in how people were dressing in the 1980s and the 1990s. She even had an influence on The Little Mermaid. But this dress sparked an idea which has carried on across the decades of beauty as revenge. And everybody in the public consciousness absorbed this. That's better. Even though she admitted to the dress designer when the dress was being auctioned off for charity, that on that night, she struggled to fit into the dress. She whispered to Stambolian, by the way, that little black dress, I had a job to squeeze into it. But that part is completely left out. However, the impact remains. It was more than an FU to Charles. It was an FU to the entire royal family who had treated her like scum the whole time. It's an absolutely iconic moment, honestly, and Princess Diana knew how much influence she had over people and used that to her advantage to do good. From the AIDS crisis to charities during her life to, yes, strategic dressing to send a message. Yet somehow over time, whilst many brands do indeed try to proffer their own versions of revenge dresses to jilted lovers, the message is twisted to become having a revenge body is the way to get back at the person or people who wronged you. I mean, now that Carrie Underwood has officially gone to the dark side, I guess keying his car became unfashionable. Real revenge no more. It's no longer a dish best served cold or giving someone a pie with a special ingredient in it.
I said, eat my shit. Have you lost your mind? No, ma'am, but you about to, 'cause you just did.
This is the one best redeeming scene from this movie. I could watch this on repeat. Is a dish best served hot with you on the menu?
What puts you at a point where you want this revenge body, and who is it for?
My ex-fiance, Spencer.
If we're arguing, your girl better not be fat because I go there. You know when you're really happy in life, you're not as panicked about having to fit into this really rigid mold which has made you absolutely miserable forever? That's bad, actually. You should, forever.
Forever, ever, forever, ever.
Look like a teenager. I mean, look what this poster says about Keira Knightley from Bend It Like Beckham. Women, what's stopping you from looking like this? But Keira was 16 when she filmed Bend It Like Beckham, and as this person replies, girls are children. You're telling millions of people that you're attracted to children? Ooh. Oh, and by the way, if you've never watched Bend It Like Beckham, you're really missing out. Now, if we want to have a conversation about your girlfriend not being hot all the time when she's with you, that is a conversation we can have. Because when she's free of you and then starts feeling better and looking better, maybe it was because you weren't treating her all that well to begin with. Maybe she was constantly having to do unpaid labor, which mostly revolves around looking after you, and having to do these wifey duties in order to, prove herself. Home cooked meals, doing your washing, making sure that the social calendar is sorted and that she's on top of all the birthdays and stuff because you keep on forgetting them. Grocery shopping, meal planning, booking your appointments, all that sort of stuff. Can't imagine why that may be exhausting for her, but I guess we'll get to that in a future video. As this study, associations between husbands' weight bias and related concerns and husbands' and wives' psychological and relationship outcome shows. The study examines married men's weight stigma, internalized weight bias, IWB, and other weight-related concerns, criticisms directed towards their wife, their perceptions of their wife as an ideal mate, and husbands' and wives' psychological distress and relationship satisfaction. The sample consisted of 209 married men and women in heterosexual relationships. Husbands' weight stigma, IWB, weight-related concerns and criticisms, and perceived mate value were significantly associated with husbands and wives' depressive symptoms, self-esteem, and relationship satisfaction. This investigation suggests that husbands' weight stigma, IWB, and other weight-related concerns and criticisms, suggestions, and mate perceptions are strongly associated with both husbands and wives' psychological and relationship outcomes. Which means that when a husband holds on to negative attitudes about his wife and his wife's appearance, that negatively affected both of them. Media has shown us time and again, in relationships, it is perfectly okay for a man to gain weight, but it's never okay for a woman to gain weight. And it's also okay for a man to look his age, if not be older than his partner. And this is also reflected in societal standards because what? We are only good for our youth and beauty. Yes, that's right. And this has come out in studies as well. Harvard University analysed data from over 4 million tests of attitudes between 2007 and 2016. The analysis found that while biases towards sexual orientation, race, and skin tone decreased in that period, weight bias, pro-thin, anti-fat, increased by 40%. It's very disturbing that weight bias is increasing as the number of people who are experiencing it are also increasing, says Tessa Charlesworth, a research fellow in psychology at Harvard University who worked on analysing the data. And when it comes to people's various sizes, this could be due to multiple factors: stressful lifestyles, food deserts, looking after children in a very child-unfriendly world. Genetics plays a huge part in this too. Things like pregnancy do as well. Like I said, 'tis okay for he, not for she, when it comes to heterosexual relationships, that is. And this is exactly where the revenge body messaging thrives time and again. For example, this trainer who was actually targeting women with this TikTok. You know, he's all about empowering women, but then at the same time, he's making this other TikTok which is saying that, do we feel like girls' gym outfits have gone too far? Hey, this dude, get skinny and get shamed all in one place, ladies. One-stop shop. Being treated badly by a partner for not being skinny enough. I had my very own apartment when I was 18 years old. I didn't have a job, I didn't eat, I threw a lot of parties. During this time I met my boyfriend. I moved back in with my mum because the way I was living my life wasn't healthy at all. I finally gained some weight again because I was super underweight before. Now, my boyfriend tells me I have to join him when he goes to the gym. I am positive that there are so many examples that you've lived through or you've seen your friends be treated this way where boyfriends are making snide comments or rude remarks or whatever towards their partner, or being treated differently because their body has changed over time. And do not get me started on the pressure which happens to mothers, especially new mothers, to have to snap back really quickly into their pre-birth bodies, even though pregnancy changes your body, you know, in so many different ways. But all of this is another offshoot of the whole revenge body thing because it comes down to proving your worthiness. Think like Betty Draper from Mad Men. She had gained some weight and she felt really insecure about herself, and then she decided that she was going to be incredibly strict on herself, and then
I want to be alone with you all night.
Mr. Adele, I have 3 children.
I don't care.
No, look at me. Can you believe I've had 3 children?
instead of being offended or grossed out by this, she takes it as a huge compliment, and then her husband treats her better as well, and he's more attracted to her. There was this trend a couple of months ago on TikTok called Remember When He, and it had Gracie Abrams' song I'm Sorry I Love You playing in the background. It was friends working out in the gym, and someone was saying that they're really tired and they want to go home, and then the other friend reminds them of some absolutely heinous stuff that their ex did to them, and then that motivates them to keep going even though like they're drained and they really want to go home. I'll play you a few examples, but I know not everybody is watching this video, which is completely okay. Doesn't matter how long I spent on my makeup, it's totally fine. I'm tired, can we leave the gym yet? Remember when he couldn't pick you up? They work out harder. I'm tired, can we go yet? Remember when you only wanted one chin? Works out harder. Shall we leave now? Remember when he was liking girls' stories whilst you were still together? Works out harder. Can we leave? Remember when he told you he has better options? Works out harder. Nothing quite like shame and toxic motivation to create an exercise fixation where your body is the problem and the reason for someone treating you like dirt, along with a very healthy dose of fat shaming. And I really want to put this out there in case people don't know, even slim people can have a double chin because everybody's what? Face structures, body structures, we are all different individual snowflakes. They're a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. Are you gonna try fat shaming them? Because I hope not, because those girls worked so incredibly hard. Can we leave? Remember when you got cheated on? Works out harder. Can we leave? Remember when your ex slapped you? Works out harder. No, this is not the correct response. This is where we're getting gasoline, okay girlies? Can we leave? Remember when he took you on a date and kissed 15 girls after? Works out harder. Can we leave? Remember when he flirted with you for a year and then kissed another girl on your birthday? Works out harder. Can we leave now? Remember when he had a gun and threatened to kill you? Works out harder. Can we leave? Remember when he said, my turn? Works out harder. Can we leave? Remember when he wouldn't stop calling you mommy? Works out harder. I really hope that thing got reported because that's absolutely terrifying. There are so many more examples of this, but this one's probably one of my favorites. Can we leave? Remember when she, I don't give a F, yes, oh my goodness, go eat those snacks. If you are exhausted, do not push yourself to the point beyond exhaustion, because you're just going to feel worse off for it. Like this is not a healthy coping mechanism. There's so many different examples of this same theme. I'm too tired to go to the gym, but remember that tagged photo, and then you force yourself to go to the gym. Or when you're already tired, but you remember you have to keep going so you can be that hot, big booty Latina ex. Like, all of this stuff is just toxic motivation to keep pushing yourself. Now, look, I enjoy Pilates and going on my hot girl walks, and if I can hold a plank for a bit longer and get like a personal best, I find that to be great. Or if I can like walk a little bit further, because I struggle with long COVID, I'm always like, yes, that's awesome. But it's never about pushing myself beyond exhaustion, because that doesn't do anybody any good. All of this really comes back to this weird winning or losing once a relationship ends. And the winner is always the one who looks better afterwards. You know, Adele got divorced and then she got hot. Khloe Kardashian, after splitting with Omar, got hot as well. Sam Smith, after going through a breakup a few years ago, had his whole revenge body as well. And you know what? He just posted onto Instagram this morning, because he hasn't posted in ages, and people were automatically saying like, oh my goodness, if you lost weight, you're looking so hot, you're looking so good. And comments saying that they're really glad to see the old Sam Smith back and him being more masculine, and fascism alarm bells are going off in my head. And you may recognize this person from my Womanosphere video, because all of this is very much linked into Maha and Maha, you know, Maha. Both in terms of, you know, the clean eating, afraid of chemicals, like make everything from scratch at home, sort of stuff, and also make America hot again, because it leans into superficiality and body policing being the thing to do. She shares advice to her followers to not say what the other person did wrong, to level up instead, to just get hotter.
Do not send the paragraph, just get hotter. Don't tell them how they wronged you, just get hotter. Stop feeling the need to prove yourself to people, just get hotter.
This is the revenge, but you're not doing it for them at all.
And we're not doing it for them, but that's like kind of a happy byproduct,
And we all notice that awkward shrug afterwards, because that absolutely is the motivation, to prove your worthiness by, quote, getting hot. And she also says that the best revenge is living your full life.
Because, my love, the best revenge is you living your full, magnetic, sexy life that I know you're supposed to live.
Now, this part I can absolutely get behind, but this isn't like revenge at all. Going on to lead your best life actually involves a lot of reflection, a lot of like, what was I doing wrong? What was they doing wrong? Am I going to be falling into these sorts of patterns again? Maybe it's thinking about times that you weren't standing up for yourself in a relationship. And you think about the goals you want to meet in life, the dreams that you have in life. Like, you go pursuing that sort of stuff. You go making these wonderfully deep friendships. You get involved in your community, and you pursue like living a full life. That stuff, absolutely, I think that is all fantastic. But it comes back to reducing it to just get hotter. That's my issue here, because that is kind of putting a band-aid over like the other big issues here.
Especially for men. This kills them. Oh, does this kill them?
But I thought that we weren't doing this for them, hence her whole awkward shrugging, because this really is what it comes back to. It's being able to like show yourself on social media, basically, that you're smaller, that you're more, quote, like conventionally attractive or something, and then making them feel jealous and perhaps regret that they lost you or something. But you're never really going to know that unless you actually want to get back together with them or something. But how can you be leading your best life if you're just going backwards to like reflect on them all the time? It doesn't make sense. This really is the same energy as women shouldn't be angry and shouldn't be confrontational. They should always take the high ground and just be graceful about stuff, take things on the chin, keep that anger inside, don't confront him and don't face into the issues. Instead, use that anger as fuel instead of food. But none of this is holding the other person accountable, and they're probably just going to keep on treating other people the same trash way that they were treating you afterwards. But bottling things up in order to take the high road and say like the gym is my therapy, which is just pushing aside all of the actual issues and instead creating this hyperfixation on something where you are constantly almost punishing yourself, putting yourself in pain to prove your worth. that's not really doing much good. It's just giving a fixation, and you hold on to these feelings and only admit to the mask of anger rather than the feelings of betrayal or rejection or sadness, and possibly also a feeling of not being good enough, which is probably why people started to go to the gym so hard out to begin with. Probably go into the next relationship without having reflected on those issues and learnt some coping skills or something, and then go projecting those same things onto the next person. And then it just becomes a cycle of self-punishment instead of breaking the cycle, which means facing the cycle that you're stuck in and unpicking it, you know? Having the tough conversations during a relationship and then including at the end of a relationship with your partner, and even the tough conversations with yourself, because all of us have flaws. Like I said, I know that I've definitely got flaws too.
Piece, girl. I mean, your body is ridiculous. You have like a waist like a whisper and an ass like a planet. It's amazing. Who doesn't want that?
Khloe Kardashian had the show Revenge Body, which started in 2019 and ran for 3 whole seasons.
It's really to say, like, after he left, you know, you didn't break me.
One of the contestants couldn't continue on the show because she had trauma, which was really horrifying, and she wasn't able to continue on with the show because it was too much for her. And so this was framed as a failure, and then she came back, and Khloe Kardashian, this is just how the interview happened.
I was, when I was 18, by a boyfriend, and I didn't tell anybody.
Somebody reveals something very deeply personal on camera, which she would have been briefed about beforehand, okay? Like, this is all a TV show, so they all know the exact reason that she couldn't stay on the show beforehand, and Khloe just goes like, oh, that's it? Really? Like, they weren't giving her any help beforehand? What, they didn't put her onto a psychologist or a specialist or anybody to be able to help her before? No, she's just got to leave. And then she can come back once, you know, she's dealt with all of that nasty stuff. We only care about this. We don't care about, like, the insides. This person is talking about the love weight.
You know, when you get that
The love weight.
For
Sure. I've been there.
Come on.
And I call it love weight because you're happy and it doesn't bother you at the time. And then when you're out of it, you're like, how did I do this to myself?
How did I get there?
Oh, okay, the happiness doesn't matter. Like, they could have very well still been working out and leading a healthy lifestyle and still gain weight at the same time. Person after person on the show has emotional baggage which hasn't been dealt with. And this even stems from Khloe, right? Because she was told directly that her appearance wasn't good for the Kardashian brand. And so she had to make this shift in order to be able to look good for the brand. So the focus is all on surface level fixes, just like the show The Swan from the 2000s, where all of these women went on the show to fix their flaws. And there were a bunch of these contestants who were in relationships with guys who were treating them like absolute dirt. One person I just want to highlight.
After having a child, I have this disgusting stomach with stretch marks. One night, my husband was in a bar, and this girl kissed him. He kissed her back. I didn't leave him because I guess I'm afraid that nobody else would ever love me.
And so she thought that going through these multiple surgeries, this 3-month process, which is entirely grueling and harrowing on your body, then she thought that he would love her.
This is a more confident Beth.
But is she more secure in her marriage?
I was definitely jealous before, and now it's not a problem. I know I'm good enough for him. I'm kind of disappointed in myself for gaining a little bit of weight. I came home with a killer body, and now it's a little bit bigger than I wanted it to be.
Someone is treating you badly in a relationship, there is nothing that you can do on your surface level or anything that will make them treat you better. If they've decided that they don't care about you, that's a them problem. It's not a you problem. Doesn't mean that you're not worthy of love. It doesn't mean that you're not worthy of kindness or anything. But these shows and this messaging always comes back to that. All of this is just diet culture repackaged as empowerment. All of this harkens back to the glow-up transformations that we've seen in movies, and then also has been a really big trend on TikTok where kids who maybe grew up a little overweight or something, and then it's like, oh, I was bullied, and then I've done all of this stuff, and now I look great, and so, oh, you were laughing at me then, now look at me. And it comes back to this whole thing time and again, and it's like, I just wish that this diet culture wasn't so prevalent, and this shaming of people based on the way that they look, God, it's just exhausting. But all of this sort of glow up stuff, like how you look when you're 12 is not how you're gonna look when you grow up.
Nothing tastes better than being hot and healthy. I can't say the other word because of obvious reasons.
It's just one of the worst things that you can do in this life is get fat.
Don't get fat. Whatever you do in life, do not get fat.
Tiny shoulders and tiny torsos always look good.
You're not ugly, you're just fat. Don't get fat. so much of this messaging is everywhere. Oh my goodness, the 2000s are so back. They are so very back. I've been warning y'all for years about this, okay? Sophie Silver tried bandage dresses because they heard that they were the most flattering thing. She does look incredible, but bandage dresses only really work for certain body types, like no hip dips allowed. It's a very slim but still curvy body type that this looks good on. And it's the exact same way as in the 2000s because it was around the mid to late 2000s that these were really everywhere. And there are so many TikToks of people showing like unwanted curves, and the fix to them in order to be able to wear this fashion is to wear this very restrictive shapewear. But honestly, I much prefer this approach from mid-size Asian queen.
I'm a fat Asian wearing a bodycon dress. Of course I know my belly shows. I'm a fat Asian wearing a bodycon dress. I can be fat and beautiful.
With the rise of 2000s fashion, really getting Marissa from the OC vibes where clothes were just hanging off your body and that's the appeal. She's absolutely become a poster girl on TikTok for like this style of dressing as well. I feel like I'm in 2010's Tumblr watching this one. And yes, I'm referencing this show because I've just started watching it for the first time ever and I've only just started season 2, okay? So I don't know how it ends, but I was definitely taken aback by the way that she dressed, and I got snapped back to the past because I'm 35, and so I remember people dressing like this, and like the whole thing about having those low-rise jeans hang off your hip bones was a real flex. Diet culture is back with a vengeance and everybody is signing up for it. TikTok is rife with this content. Even though skinny talk has been banned or whatever, I could so easily find all of this stuff. I can't share most of it with you because it really is EDs. And I've already been demonetized before by YouTube, so I'm being very careful with this video. But all of it is hidden behind this whole code of health, and I'm doing this to be strong and healthy. And I have to say, I'm getting the same vibes as going vegan for weight loss that was really big in the mid-2010s. There is this absolute fear of fatness, and so much is tied into morality too. And this is another reason why the whole revenge body irks me so much as well, because like, there's only one good person to come out after a relationship, right? And obviously that's you, because whoever loses the most weight or whoever looks hotter, that means that they're the better person. You show your goodness by shrinking yourself. Now, fellow millennials, you'll remember this face of Gemma Ward because she was a model that was so well known globally. She was famous for her doll features and was highly sought after in the 2000s. She was discovered in Perth at the age of 14. She was on runways at 15, on the cover of magazines at 15, and at 16, she became a Vogue USA cover girl. However, she was struggling from depression, which is what gave her this, quote, amazing figure to begin with when she was found at the age of 14. I mean, along with being a child. As she says in this W Magazine interview, Ward was scouted at a time in her teens where she thought she looked pretty scary, having just gone through a bout of depression during which she lost a lot of weight. She gained some of it back along with some self-confidence when she became a successful model, though that only lasted so long. And this is where we come to 2007 and that fateful day to the Chanel Spring-Summer 2008 runway. Because fashion is always ahead of the times, I know that there are so many videos saying, oh, it was in 2008 that this happened. No. The article which I found was on the 4th of October 2007. Like, I was so deep into fashion lore back then because remember, I really wanted to get into fashion, but I wasn't really a Chanel kind of girly or, you know, like Calvin Klein or Tommy Hilfiger. That was not me. I was much more into my Oscar de la Renta, Thierry Mugler, Versace, Valentino. Gemma committed the cardinal sin of growing up. Gemma wore a denim bikini and her editor said, "I almost didn't recognize her," said the editor, who confessed she was aghast. Compared to the other ultra skinny models, Ward looked like she'd gained 10 to 15 pounds. Big, almost bloated. She was 19, about to turn 20 that year in November. There is so much speculation that this time was when she was grieving over Heath Ledger and that was what caused her weight gain, but no, she was actually just growing up, becoming a woman. Heath Ledger and Gemma Ward only met in November of 2007, so this happened before then. Heath Ledger tragically passed at the start of 2008, and this did deeply affect Gemma. The photo agent who worked with Ward wasn't surprised by the industry reaction. Every 6 months you get a new crop of girls. For everyone with staying power, like a Kate Moss, there are 20 who don't make it past 18. You gain weight and you knock yourself out of the running. The thing is though, right, that Gemma was struggling with mental health issues when she got scouted, and also in 2008 after Heath Ledger's passing. But one version was completely acceptable, like I've talked about, because she was a skinny little waif. However, when she gained a bit of weight, that was completely repulsive. The absolute worst thing, should be discarded. And the paparazzi continued to hound her. They found her at a beach with her friends and they called her a role model. She really just wanted to hide from paparazzi.
I don't know, I feel like I was publicly shamed. I wanted to hide. And I didn't want a lot of people kind of, putting cameras in my face and putting me on front covers of newspapers.
She went into acting and she wasn't writing off like possibly going back into modelling in the future. She was offered work in 2009 with Harper's Bazaar on the condition that she's, quote, back in modelling shape, but her agency turned it down. However, in 2014, she was back on the runway for Prada, no less, and she got booked more and more. However, she was back in, more modelling shape. Her comeback was granted because she met the beauty standard once again. We are in dark times, my friend, as I think that all of us are very well aware of. And you may be asking, why the hell are you talking about a model? Nobody expects people to look like that. It's about people being healthy. Maybe you haven't seen the shift that's happened, but the standard of what bodies are free from ridicule have shrunk. People are back in the 2000s mindset that bullying someone is acceptable if they don't meet beauty standards. There's going to be many fatphobic, racist, ableist comments all over this video comment section. I'm going to be policing it as much as I can. But people will be commenting that I'm trying to glorify obesity and saying the most heinous things. The standard is now so narrow thanks to all of this body policing we're doing to each other. As Julie Ebner, author of Going Mainstream, How Extremists Are Taking Over, said in an interview, fascist ideologies in the past and today tend to paint an idealized vision of the human body, and women's bodies in particular are seen as vessels for producing the next generation of, quote, pure and strong children. With the rise in far-right movements, we also see a return of narrow-minded beauty ideals and body shaming. There is a real morality to thinness. I think that we all are very well aware of this, hence the shaming part of everything. It's almost like we treat fat people as failures of being skinny people, because being skinny is the thing that everybody should be constantly aiming for. And if someone isn't constantly striving for that, well, they deserve to be shamed because they're disgusting. And people feel so happy, if not entitled, to comment on other people's bodies and the way that they're failing due to the way that society has taught us to fear fatness and to shun people because we just see something and because there's one particular image of what healthy looks like in our minds. If you don't fit into that, you're gonna get shamed. As Sabrina Strings writes in Fearing the Black Body, the legacy of Protestant moralism and race science as it relates to fat and thin persons loomed large. Indeed, many early to mid-20th century physicians relied on moral and racial logics to rail against persons deemed too fat or too thin, but over time a growing number did so specifically and exclusively to condemn fatness, and the need to differentiate white people, especially white women, from black people, as the marker of true beauty always came back to whiteness, despite previous people actually finding black people very attractive. It's a really good book. It's only like a 7-hour audiobook. I really do recommend it if you haven't read it or listened to it. There's this thought of larger bodies as being stupider and lazier, and we all try and also struggle to function under capitalism, right? And laziness? Oh, that's disgusting. You're always meant to be productive. Tiffany Ferg has a video on this, like she did that video, 2 years ago now? I'll link it for you. And under capitalism, we've also been taught that meritocracy works. So someone that is stupid and lazy, ooh, they are not welcome in this society, but that's because of people's projected notions onto people in larger bodies. And there is a massive ableism issue here as well, and ableism and fascism are like peas in the pod, they're best buds. I don't know why it's so hard to sell the concept that no matter how a person appears, each human has inherent value. And I really want to shout out the work by Imani Barbarin. If you're not following her on Instagram, I've got her Instagram linked for you down below too.
The vast majority of the public thinks that when we're talking about disability, we're only talking about disabled people. But a majority of the laws, the policies, and even the ideas around disability are attached to everyone that they want to eradicate. And that's what you all need to absorb a lot faster than you are.
Realistically, over our entire lifetimes, all of us are going to become disabled. So this whole othering notion is just an easier way for people to dehumanize each other, which works better for fascism. Yes, it's all linking back in. I know. This is just the timeline that we're sadly in. And I already know that there's going to be so many people commenting down below, oh, but we care about health. Like, you can just tell that someone's not healthy by looking at them. And we can look to the Olympics last year. Like Alex Light shared on Instagram, athletes come in all different shapes and sizes, but people have the expectation that athletes, especially when it comes to women, should always look like a gymnast or a runner. Not like a weightlifter or a more muscular woman at all. No, all of that's bad. It's only like the smaller version, right? You see how it's all linking in? And I really want to put it out there, if we do genuinely care about people's health, it is much less to do with individualism than you think. We should be focusing on systemic changes that actually do impact the health of everybody. You know, like ensuring that there are warm, dry, and safe homes for everybody to be able to live in. Addressing the issues of food deserts, pollution, free and accessible healthcare for everybody, including dental and mental health care, and also eye tests and everything to do with your eyes. I don't know why these are seen as luxury bones and these are also seen as like a fancy addition. Addressing medical misogyny and racism, and also paying people enough so they have access to healthy food options, and making sure that people aren't working all the time, which means that they can make that food at home, or if they're unable to, have the access to be able to get healthy food. You know, have all of that stuff, because all of that creates the picture of health. I'm going to also leave the account, The Nutrition Tea, on Instagram for you down below to give them a follow too. But people would always rather focus on the size of an individual as their sign of their worth, their health. And people use this judgment in all directions, right? Like we saw it very recently when it comes to Ariana Grande and was it Megyn Kelly?
I think that Ariana Grande needs to put more thought into how to add 1/2 ounce of fat back onto her body than she does thinking about President Trump being impeached. Obviously, she is in the middle of a crisis. I'm sorry, but this woman looks ill.
I'm sorry, is she not a citizen? Because I believe that means that she's allowed to have a say. And I just want to bring up the way that people treat others around them that they're not physically attracted to. That speaks far more to your character than it does to theirs. And this works for all genders. I know that the typical example is like how a man treats a woman he's not attracted to really shows who he actually is. But I find this with all genders because I've seen a lot. Doing better after a breakup is great. Honestly, that is fantastic. But more in the way of like knowing yourself, like doing personal growth, getting more connected to your friends, pursuing a job that you really enjoy, being involved in your community, learning new skills, like all of that stuff. That's amazing. That is so good. This was shared by Let Me Explain in her stories. And I really want to share it with you because this is the sort of stuff that we need to see. This mother left an abusive relationship after 30 years with them. And she made a list of all of the things that she wanted to do when she was free. And yes, sadly, that list also includes getting a mammogram. Like, my God, he wasn't even letting her do that before. That's really sad. 4 years later, and she is so happy and living her best life and is connected to everyone around her. And nothing is to do with getting smaller or shrinking. It's about creating a good life, and she is positively glowing from within. And if people really do want to stick onto the whole like, oh, I'm going to make a better life for myself afterwards, one of the best revenge stories in that case is Elle Woods. She challenged herself to go to Harvard, got accepted, discovered that she actually had this real skill and passion for law. She realized that the guy that she was in love with wasn't a good guy to begin with, became friends with the person that he was with, and she graduated top of her class. Maybe I'm too much of an Angela Bassett fan, but this is always revenge to me. But self-flagellation is not hurting them. Beating yourself up is not making them sadder. It's not addressing issues, it's creating them. And I would just love for us to not be valuing people based on their bodily appearance. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, which approach do you prefer when it comes to revenge? The pie approach, or the fire approach? Or the Chicago approach? What would that be? I don't even know if there is a knife emoji. Is that allowed? Please don't put that actually, because that would feel like it's threatening me. Or if you're not a fellow Scorpio girly and revenge really isn't a thing for you, and you prefer the more butterfly approach of creating a better life for yourself without, you know, worrying about them ever again, leave the butterfly emoji. And thank you so much to all of my patrons, because they are the ones that voted for this video, and they also voted for the next video, which... that's going to be really spicy, by the way. So subscribe and come back for that one. And a huge thank you to all of my Trash Panda enablers. Birgit, Carrie Quake, Chris Wallace, Danielle, Emberly McCulley, Jam, Jeff Boyardee, Jem, Katrina Dunn, Cole, Laura Bell, Megan Connolly, Mila Gauthier, Nathan, Nicole H., Ryder, Stella Sapiente, Tammy Poitras, Tonya Banier, and Varu Cat Mama. Oh, and also, if you are going through a breakup, listen and learn from 17-year-old me. If you are thinking about getting like a drastic haircut or something, just think about your hair texture and stuff. Otherwise, you'll end up looking like this because you're like, oh, that looks so good on Rihanna. Rihanna, that wasn't even her hair. That was a wig, okay? Silly me didn't realize that was a wig, but I was like, oh, she looks really good. No, I could never look as good as Rihanna did in Shut Up and Drive. But if you want to do like an Ann Perkins and put some red streaks in your hair or something, that sounds like fun. Enjoy. Have a good time. But yeah, it took me years to deal with that terrible haircut, okay? This is a PSA to everybody out there. Like I said, I'm 35. My goodness. I've made so many mistakes. Okay, I shall see you all next time for that probably controversial video. Bye-bye.